Well, today we're reading from March 9, and there's a passage there from the book of Numbers. It's a book that a lot of people have difficulty with, and it's troubling to some. But there's a passage here that I think could mean a lot for us. And basically, a little context, Moses sent out some spies to go spy out the land. He sent 12 men. 2 of those men, one of them was Caleb and one was Joshua, men of faith. The other 10 spies, we'll find out, were not so strong in the faith area. Remember that God promised that the land would be a land of milk and honey. It would be a land of abundant food, and it would be land that God wanted to give to them, and he was going to give it to them. That was his promise. All right, so the spies go out, and I'm going to pick this up in verse 23 and just give you a little background with that. When they came, this is the spies, when they came to the valley of Eshcol, they cut down a branch with a single cluster of grapes, so large that it took 2 of them to carry it on a pole between them. Incredible abundance. They also brought back samples of the pomegranates and figs. That place was called the Valley of Eshcol, which means cluster, because of the cluster of grapes the Israelite men cut there. After exploring the land for 40 days, the men returned to Moses. Moses, Aaron, and the whole community of Israel at Kadesh in the wilderness of Paran. They reported to the whole community what they had seen and showed them the fruit that they had taken from the land. And this was their report to Moses. So now we're going to get their viewpoint of what they saw. We entered the land you sent us to explore, and it is indeed a bountiful country, a land flowing with milk and honey. Here is the kind of fruit it produces. But the people living there are powerful, and their towns are large and fortified. We even saw giants there. The descendants of Anak, the Amalekites live in the Negev, and the Hittites, Jebusites, and Amorites live in the hill country. The Canaanites live among the coast of the Mediterranean Sea along the Jordan Valley. But Caleb tried to quiet the people as they stood before Moses. "Let's go at once to take the land," he said. "We can certainly conquer it." But the other men who had explored the land with him disagreed. "We can't go up against them. They are stronger than we are." So they spread this bad report about the land among the Israelites. "The land we traveled through and explored will devour anyone who goes to live there. All the people we saw were huge. We saw giants there, the descendants of Anak. Next to them, we felt like grasshoppers," and that's what they thought too. So there's the passage. A lot of interesting things in this passage. Well, first of all, these spies actually encountered what God had said they would encounter. It was a land full of milk and honey. This grape cluster was so large, they had to carry it on a pole between them. That's quite incredible. And so there was proof that what God said about the land was true. And yet, when they started to talk about the people there, you could just see these spies gradually losing faith and giving over not only to fear, but to irrational thoughts. We seemed like grasshoppers. This is ridiculous. All right, why is Caleb trying to quiet the people? Well, because after the spies gave the report, it agitated them. The people were starting to get worried. Fear was starting to creep into them right from the mouths of these spies. And so the people are talking and they're agitated, and you'll see this in other chapters after this. So Caleb, who's a man of faith, is saying, wait a second, we can do this. He knew that God said that they could do that. So he's trying to quiet them down, but by now it's too late. He says, let's go at once. We can take it. God will do this for us. God said he would do this for us. Well, no, it doesn't work. The men interrupted him. The spies interrupted him, and they gave more of this bad report. These guys are stronger than we are. We can't take this land. This is going to devour us. Everybody, these guys were huge. There's no way we're going to win, even though God had already said that he was going to give the land to them. Now we need to know that what's important here is God not only said he was going to do this for them, He was going to get rid of these peoples, and he was going to be with them. But these are spies, remember, that had seen God divide the Red Sea. Israel walked through it. These were men that walked through that miracle. You're walking through the waters on both sides of you. The land is dry. The Egyptians are coming. You get through the Red Sea. God closes the sea on the Egyptians who have just run in there. These men saw that. These men saw miracles of God, miracle after miracle after miracle, and yet here they are giving way to incredible fear. What in the world is going on? These were men that did not have faith. Here Caleb, the man of faith, gets drowned out, and they're not listening to him. And he loses it. I don't know where Joshua is in the discussion. We don't know at this point. But the man of faith gets cut out of the deal. The people who have unbelief, basically, and are given over to fear are now taking over, and this now spreads through the people. So we have a real problem here. In fact, the consequences of this situation were enormous. As a result of their lack of faith, Israel spent another 40 years in the desert because of their unbelief. They all died. That generation died out. Only Caleb and Joshua were the ones who lived because they were the men of faith. So what can we say about this? It's a great story, and there are many stories like this in Numbers. But one thing I guess I want to highlight here is the bad report. Yes, we're looking at an Old Testament situation. Yes, we're looking at how a bad report can spread fear and irrationality and consequences. But for you and I, when we take a bad report, when we come to our small group or our community and we bring a bad report, we've got negative critical thinking, and we speak that out, or even we can even pray that way. We can pray from a negative position. That will infect everybody that's listening, and that will cause people, and it can cause people, to lose faith at a time when faith is critical. It could cause unbelief to spread through a body, a small group, a ministry team, or even a church. And the next thing you know, you've got people in opposition to the leadership because they've been infected by the lack of faith of a few people who just were not walking in faith. And that can destroy a church, that can divide a church. So there is a very real, a New Testament modern day application here. And the rule that I always used to say to people, take no bad reports. If someone is coming to you and they want to give a bad report about a person or about a ministry or about a church, you make up your mind, you're not going to receive this bad report. You're not going to hear it. You're not going to entertain it. And you're going to give that person some counsel to not spread that report wherever they go, because people do that. And I've been in situations, and you've been in situations before, where churches have divided and relationships are broken, relationships between people that are very close. It says in the scriptures, a gossip separates good people, breaks confidence between good people that love each other, friends. So we don't want to take these bad reports, and we want to stop them in their tracks. And instead, we want to promote faith. We want to promote what Caleb was promoting. We can do this. God said it. He did miracles for us. We believe it. We saw it. He's going to continue to do it. Why should we think otherwise? So anyway, that's a little bit of context for Numbers. I hope it was informative to you. I hope it blessed you. I hope it spoke to you. God bless.